You know, one person can make a really significant difference. And it just takes one hero to lead the way. And I'm happy to say that Warren McKenna is one of our heroes. And one of his heroes, one of the people that really got him interested in solar, was John Root, who had my position several years ago here at the CEEE. So, you know, it's really wonderful how the influence of one person can make a difference. So here's Warren McKenna. He's the manager of Farmers Electric Co-op in Kelowna, Iowa, and a leader in pushing solar energy in the state of Iowa. Thank you very much, Warren.
Thanks. And CEEE has been there from the get-go when we just had 2 arrays, and you'll see we have more than 2 today. Again, I'm Warren McKenna, Farmers Electric Co-op General Manager, and we've been in solar since about '07. I have a little more background here. But last year I got SEPA Utility CEO of the Year, which is a national recognition for the work right here in Iowa. I'm here to talk about community solar mostly today, a brief introduction. So community solar is a shared solar arrays that are customer owned or leased at a central location. Power is credited to your electric bill as if the panels were on your own property. Homeowners and businesses that don't have space at their site or their property, that don't want to or don't want to make that huge upfront investment, can buy into one of these community gardens or community farms. So it's growing very fast. I think when we started our small garden, there were probably 3 in the nation. Now it's in the hundreds. Not thousands, but so what's it take? It takes a community organizer or a project manager. You have to find a host site, you have to find subscribers, and you need community support. Organize for policy, both in the community and the utility. Work with local groups to apply for grants and seek out tax credits. Subscribers and owners, anyone who is connected to the grid, you must be within the utility service area and with the same utility typically. So residential customers are usually affluent to moderate income, local business and industry, farmers, libraries, schools, hospitals, churches, and low income. I'll talk a little bit more about this in a moment. Host sites. Some of these gardens are small, some are large, so it needs to be near the 3-phase distribution line, transformers, substation. Can't be clear out in the country. 150 to 150 kilowatts is per acre. And actually, the one Cedar Falls building is pretty typical size nowadays. Can go on industrial sites, retired farmland, reclaimed landfills, buffer zones, parks, parking lots, storage buildings, large roofs, water treatment plants, airports. Other attributes, individual ownership of panels, costs from $350 I've seen all the way up to $1,500. Watts range from 235 watts for a single module up to 350 watts. Upfront payment or loan, I think the Cedar Falls is a loan. You can get a loan or pay up front. Payback time is 10 to 15 years. Lease options are typically 20 years of ownership, low income assignment and allocation. So virtual metering, they're typically virtually metered, and the power produced is shown on your power bill. Obstacles, a lack of access to federal tax incentives, securities regulation, subscription or lease versus ownership shares, ground mount versus roof mount, utility participation, interconnection, metering, overpriced installations, I call it gold plating, zoning, permitting, and environmental approvals. So how do the utilities that are involved, typically in the state of Iowa, cooperative, municipal, investor-owned, the munis and the co-ops, this can be done locally. The investor owns, takes regulatory and approval and legislation to push this forward. There are no gardens or community projects in Iowa that are investor owned at this time. So here's 3 in Iowa. This is Currently, the Farmers Electric solar garden, it's on a half an acre. We have an acre to fill here. This is one in Traer, Iowa. I think it's fully subscribed. It's a lease model. I'm thinking they were up closer to $1,000 a module. This one's ribbon cutting is coming up in the 19th. I'm not sure if it's fully subscribed, but they built it, and part of it is lease ownership. It's about a 500 to a megawatt, I think, model that they're using. This is about 100 kW, and ours currently is a 50 kW. This is what we call our garden. So FEC, Electric Cooperative Community Solar Garden, it has a common meter right here, and these inverters are in this garden shed. This is when we first started. So when we introduced the program, we were trying to get a grant, and we just wanted to do 20 modules to see if this would take off. You got to understand there's about 3 to 5 solar gardens nationwide at the time. We couldn't get the grant, but the board decided to go ahead and introduce the first 20 panels at $250 each. We underwrote the project. We'd hoped to get a grant. That's why it was so cheap. And those sold out in 2 days. We kept the list. In the next 30 days, we have a board meeting. They extended it to 40 modules, and those sold out in a couple of days. So we increased the price the next year to try and recover all our hardware costs. We do the install ourselves, and those sold out in the first week. So currently, we have 112 modules and 90 participants. Currently, the price is around $475. We only do about 40 modules a year, and if you're a first-time buyer, you get a reduced price. It's capped at 12 modules. You get a certificate of ownership. In our model, you actually own the module. There's no lease. So here, just an example. Here's a church that owns 12 modules. These are individual owners. They just own one module. Somebody might own 2 modules, up to 4 modules. Here's a business that owns 4 modules. It's not a significant amount, but it's a $3 credit on average per module per month, just to give you an idea what the production comes. In the summertime, it's going to be $5. In the winter, it might be $1.50. I'll show you here in a minute. Here's the actual production shown on the bill, and this is the credit, 12.5 cents, and this is the amount. And we get a daily usage production and a hourly production for that day. I get this email every day. And this is kind of how it's allocated. It's a socialized meter. If the modules, the newer modules are typically a little bit larger than the original modules, but that all gets socialized, even though you own probably a higher wattage module. There's not much more than a 10-watt variation. So we surveyed the customers, why did you invest in the solar garden? And the number one reason that came back was it was easy to do. Number 2 was concern for the environment. 3 was a quick payback. And 4 was keep payments in the community. And this was my number 1 choice, just to give you an idea why, from a business standpoint, we did it. And that wasn't the customer's reason. So Solar Garden is only a part of our larger winning solar vision, basically. We're big into solar. So we are ranked as top 10 for NREL for our customer participation in our Green Power Project, where customers can contribute voluntarily a $3 a month credit to us that we then turn around and incent solar with it. And nationwide, we're in the top 10 in that category. SEPA top 10 for connected watts per customer, and then I received the Solar CEO of the Year award last year for these projects. 20% of the customers own solar. 15% of our energy comes from solar and wind. We buy about 5% wind RECs. And actually, it's higher than that in Iowa. You're up to around 30%. If you plug into an outlet here, you get wind. But we own at least 10%. We don't own it. Our customers own it. It's produced locally. So we have very low line loss, under 2%, high reliability. We have our own peaking and backup generation, and 90% of our three-phase line is underground. So when you say you can't do this reliably, that's why I put this in here. We can do it reliably. It's part of a larger vision of 25 by 25 to reduce outside energy purchases by 25% by the year 2025. Part of this is through monitoring, energy efficiency and conservation, and renewable energy. So 30% of our peak currently, and higher actually, some days, Sundays, today it might be up 50% or greater. Some circuits, we're producing more than we have load on the circuit. So community solar is 100 kW, site-based we're at about 400 kW, solar farm we're at a megawatt or 800 kW. We have room for another megawatt in the back. Solar schools are about 60 kW. I'm going to touch on it real briefly. So our Iowa Mennonite School, we have 50 kW. This is a community-built project with the students and the parents. This is a 50 kW array. Produces all the energy for their heating and cooling for the school. And on the original array, CEEE, Pat, I think, did some curriculum development. So here's Washington Township, another elementary we serve. We did this small tracking array. This was the second array we did. And Pat Higbee with CEEE, and Maria Uris is another gal that we hired locally to do our renewable and sustainability planning. And I just want to shout out to them guys because they come in and do shows for us and so on. That was funded by the Riverboat Foundation, which is a casino locally there, and our cooperative bank. So there's money out there. It's hard to find, but there's money out there. So this is our solar farm. It's the largest solar installation in Iowa currently. And it's on 4.5 acres. There's another 4.5 acres behind here that we hope to fill up. And it's on a 10-year PPA with Eagle Point Solar. We also, these are the sites. So this is a farm operation, but also a business. These are just farms. I have a residential array. This is one of our first arrays. These are just residential arrays out in the yards. This is a farm here with solar and wind. And we have between 25 and 30 of these solar phone booths. These are off-grid, just a battery and one solar module.
And what is that?
That's an off-grid solar phone booth for the Amish. And we also light this city signs in the city of Riverside. And all the signs around Kelowna are solar powered, the city signs. And we light a gazebo in a cemetery. So this is kind of fun project for us. I'm also a founding member of the Iowa Solar Energy Trade Association, and we've gotten as of last week, as of Friday actually, it'll be jumped up to $5 million in state tax credits for solar. So first round was $1.5 million. This was the governor signing the $4.5 million. And then last week we just got another $500,000 added to that. That's been fully subscribed every year except the second year.
Sign up early.
Sign up early. That's it, guys.
The award you got, were they including your involvement in that power purchase agreement, which you didn't talk very much about, the 2.4-acre farm? And you talked a lot about the community solar project, which is presumably smaller than that 4-acre power purchase project?
Yeah, the top 10 connected watts per customer, that helped, definitely helped, yeah. So 2,000 watts per customer is probably 3 times what the connections are in Hawaii, for instance.
And that includes that power purchase agreement?
Yep. Yep.
And they initiated that, or you invited them to get that going?
Barry's here.
Okay.
We're partners in crime, you might say.
We were talking about it for years.
Okay.
For years.
It takes a lot of work to put a big project together. So Cedar Falls will talk about their project. There's a lot of work, environmental, financial. It's easy to, almost easier to build the project than it is to plan and finance it.
If you're not close to a three-phase system, do you just have to go off grid, or is there any way you can go through the regular?
The co-op itself, you mean?
Or setting up one by yourself as a farm or a residence?
No. We don't have any problems with a single phase one.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for.
I mean, you're not going to have a ginormous solar array, but for a residential or small commercial application, we're finding a lot of agricultural operations are just that 110 volt,
Exactly.
single phase. That's what they are. So.
Yeah, this is single phase install in my backyard. It produces about, in the summer months, 100% of what I use. All right, thanks.